Yeah. Am I going to be the one interviewing you, I guess, or are you going to be our correspondent?
Okay.
I don't know. How's that going to go?
Just like we mean like the intro.
Yes.
We just say, "Hey, welcome to a bite-sized episode of the Toonami Showdown, where we talk about the Samurai Jack premiere that Scion attended."
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I can do that.
Okay.
Let me think. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Hey, everyone. This is a smaller-ish episode, not really episode of the Toonami Showdown, where we're going to talk to Scion because he went to the LA premiere of the first episode of Samurai Jack season 5. And yeah, that's how
Yeah.
this is going to go. We're gonna put a timestamp down in the description, I guess. Up front here, we're gonna talk about what the premiere was like, and there was a Q&A you stayed for a little bit of. We're gonna talk about that up front. So if you all super care about episode spoilers, you can still safely listen to those parts. Though if you clicked on this, I feel like you probably don't care that much. But either way,
I won't try to get too spoilery. I'll just keep it to broad strokes. Uh, but yeah, let's get into this.
so you told me that there was an ice sculpture of Jack.
There was in the lobby. Um, you enter the lobby and it was crowded just with tons and tons of people. You couldn't move. It was just no elbow room. The walls were completely covered, crammed with people. And in the middle of the lobby, off to the side, not in the middle of the lobby, there was an ice sculpture of Jack with his beard and fighting stance. And
And then
that was
Aku
very
came out and told you some fairy tales, right?
Yeah, he did actually. It was great. No, but near the ice sculpture, they were giving out free posters. I couldn't get one because the line was backed up. Let
Oh,
me try to explain this line to you. This line went down the hallway, and
how
then
long's
it
the hallway?
bent. It's like the good size. Like think think your typical theater lobby. So
Ugh.
like that. Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
it went down the hallway and then it came back and curved back to where the table started when they were handing out posters. And then it did it again. So
Did they have
that
enough
should be
posters for everybody, or
I don't know.
like
The
like
theaters did 16
theoretically if you stood in line, would you have been able to get a poster?
probably,
Okay,
I would guess. The theater seated 1,600 people and it was completely packed.
that's good.
So
Um,
lots of people like Jack, guys. Lots
as
of
it
people
turns
like
out, Samurai Jack, popular property. Um,
Yeah,
s-
who would have guessed?
I mean, I thought they were gonna bring it back. Nobody's gonna care, But hey, so
That's what I thought. And like maybe it's because I've been to too many anime screenings recently because usually, you go to those, just a couple dozen people inside the theater and it's not a huge deal. But no, this was big. Uh
how does it
line
com-
of
how does it compare to some of the other premieres you've been to? Like you went to some DBZ movie premieres and stuff, right?
Yeah, I went to the world premiere of Resurrection F and that doesn't compare to the Jack premiere. Like Resurrection F was crowded, but like at most 150, 200 people in that theater and it wasn't
Wow.
even completely packed. So yeah,
Huh.
this was big, and like the line to get into the theater was 3 blocks long. So
That's a long line.
yeah, 3 LA blocks long.
Was anybody dressed
Insanity.
up? No one was dressed up.
Uh, I didn't see anyone dressed up. It's weird. Everyone there looked like a normal person.
Huh.
No
Nobody
no cosplayers. No,
Nobody wore any great flaming eyebrows or anything.
I'm sure
'Cause
there's one or two
they-
people who did that.
See, if I was in charge of this premiere, I would have been giving people out the eyebrows. Like
I
they
did.
give out those 2000 glasses you can wear. Give out
Well,
the eyebrows.
they were giving out free popcorn and drinks, and the popcorn container was like Aku shaped. So I have that.
That's a nice souvenir.
That's on my. Yeah, it is. It's on my desk now.
Were there? Did you like recognize people in the crowd or anything, or like were there actual famous people there or anything?
I think a lot of the voice actors were there. I think most of the voice actors were in the front row. I was in the nosebleed section,
Oh,
so I couldn't see, but Gindi kept pointing to them. So I think so. Jason, I could hear Jason's voice before the show started,
it's
just
kind of
telling
weird.
everyone.
You recognize his voice. That's
Yeah,
not kind of
like
weird,
before the show started, he said, "Hey, don't." I could tell he gave it away. It was Jason when he started talking, like after a few sentences, because he started using his typical vocabulary. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's Jason." He was like, "Don't be a dick. Turn off your phones. We're doing this for you."
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, hi, Jason." Um, Before the show started, they had this neat little minute animation that played on a continuous loop of just Jack, the daughters of Aku, and just little experimental vignette thing that they kept playing. So that was neat to look at. And then a band played. Before the show started, a band played the soundtrack to the new season of Jack, and it's very very cinematic sounding. Like you got chanting, you got the
Can't have
throat
cinematic
singing.
without chants and throat singing.
Yes, yes, yeah. It's really the whole thing, the whole everything I saw about New Jack is really really cinematic. It's it feels like a movie.
So what was the Q&A like, I guess, before we get into actual show impressions here?
Uh, I didn't stay for the entire Q&A because my friends wanted to go get ramen, so I pretty much
Ramen
dragged them
can
along.
wait, man.
I know, man. They were like, "We want to get ramen. Can we go?" So we went to Tsujita in Little Osaka. But from what I saw of the Q&A, it was Tom Kenny asking Gindi questions. Just randomly, Tom Kenny coming on stage, sitting down, and doing it late night talk show style.
What does
And
Tom Kenny actually sound like?
he sounds like SpongeBob if SpongeBob was a more normal person. I'm not even
Huh,
joking.
that's weird.
Yeah, yeah, he has a really distinctive voice. Um, so they talked about the conception of Jack, and you know, they talked. The real interesting thing here, and this was probably the main point, was how Jack came back. Uh, and Gindi said he was on the toilet one day, like you are. And this was after he
As you
finished
do.
Yeah, after he finished Hotel Transylvania 2. And he was like, you know what? Maybe it's time to bring Jack back because everyone keeps harassing me about it. So he called up the head of Cartoon Network and he was like, hey, I think it's time. And they were like, yeah, that's awesome. But maybe this would be better at Adult Swim. And so Gindi and Mike Lazo know each other because Mike Lazo, uh, was basically Gindi's boss back in the day. He pitched
That's
Samurai Jack originally to Mike Lazo, and he's like, "Hey, this is the show I want to do," and he was like, "Yeah, that's cool." So he called Mike, sent him an email, and then he got a call the next day that said, "How much and how many?" And they worked something out, and within 2 weeks, production was starting.
that's kind of interesting that Cartoon Network was the one who directed him there.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting little tidbit.
Because you kind of get the general impression that maybe over the years Cartoon Network kind of a little bit dirty, and that might have been why it was an Adult Swim, but I guess that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I think I think from Cartoon Network's perspective, it's just that maybe they see Jack as more of a they don't think Jack would fit with the current demo, and they think it would probably prosper more in Adult Swim, where everyone who watched it as a kid would be watching it there now.
Yeah.
Because like people, everyone my age, everyone our age knows who Jack is, Samurai Jack, for the most part. If you ask a kid, it's like, hey,
Yeah.
did you ever watch Samurai Jack? I'm talking like 8-year-old kid. Probably not gonna know.
What's a
That's my guess
samurai?
anyway. What's a samurai? Oh, you mean like Lego Ninjago?
Oh God. That- but yeah, that is really strange. I guess that I like that his first toilet thought after Hotel Transylvania 2 is let's do Samurai Jack again. You know, there's not
Right.
any hmm, what?
Uh, he said he tried to get the movie made several times, but it just never happened.
Oh.
Um,
Did they go into detail about what happened with that? Because I know like supposedly J.J. Abrams was on board for a little bit, but that guy's on board for a lot of things.
he made an J.J. Abrams joke. Someone in the audience shouted, "What about a Jack movie?" And Gindi said, he laughed and he said, "Ask J.J. Abrams."
Oh
So
man, so did J.J. Abrams just ghost Gendy?
I don't know. Oh God, that'd be sad.
That would be depressing. But yeah, I guess it's also kind of funny that there's like no story of grand inspiration here, like Nintendo Shigeru Miyamoto style of I was in my garden and Pikmin came to me. It's like I was on the toilet and Samurai Jack, it's time now.
Yeah. I got just from what he was saying, I got the impression that like he he didn't really he wasn't really sure how to end it or what exactly he wanted to do as far as like the story treatment goes.
So he didn't have that planned out from this theoretical movie. The movie was just kind of a general idea out there without a plot.
I'm guessing. I'm not sure, but that's just like kind of the impression I got. I don't think the plot came together until production started for the new season.
Okay. Anything else that happened in the Q&A that you think is worth mentioning?
Tom Kenny gave a shout out to Aku's new voice actor,
Oh,
and we all paid our respects to Mako.
oh, I missed that guy.
I miss Mako too. Good news is his replacement does a job.
Okay, so I guess if anybody doesn't want to hear episode impressions from here on out, Sion's going to be pretty vague, and I guess we'll decide in a little bit if we want to talk about like super spoilers, but otherwise, like this is your jumping off point,
Yep.
folks at home.
So we're gonna give you a few seconds, to decide within your heads if you want to keep listening or not.
And I'm going to ask you after that the single most important question that has been burning in my mind.
All right.
What about Will I Am, Sion?
They played the they played the song in the credits.
That's good. Oh, do you
Yes.
think they'll do that for the show, or just like was that a special thing for this being cut together? Okay, so before this, you
Okay.
talked to me about how it's all. Okay, tell me how that happened. It's all
How
cut
the Will I
together,
Am
right?
thing.
No, I
Okay. Yeah.
mean,
Okay. So Gendy came on stage with the twist, and he was like, "Hey, we're gonna play all the first 3 episodes of the new season, not just the first one." And everyone there thought they were just gonna play the first episode. It was all cut together like a movie. The opening narration, which I assume is going to be the opening for all 10 episodes, was basically the promo narration that Jack gave. Uh,
oh really?
uh,
So it
yeah,
wasn't like a
Aku.
special Toonami promo thing.
No, it was. age has lost its effect on me. Aku's grasp on the past, present, and future, all is lost. And then it kind of just cuts to the title. So I'm assuming that's a
Does he
new
say
opening
long ago in
narration.
a distant land?
No. But at the very end, after all the episodes were over, we got the "wachow" in the typical Jack close up, and then went to the credits. So
That's pretty cool. I hope they don't cut that out.
I hope they don't cut it out either because it's really, really neat.
Yeah, see, my second question was actually going to be, do they still
So
have the
I guess we'll start
narration?
from the beginning. And the cold open is basically Jack just mowing through the robot bugs, Aku henchmen, who are about to kill some telepathic citizens of Aku world. I
So
don't know
we've
how to
seen
describe them.
those
I
in
guess,
the we've seen those in the promos a lot.
yeah. Basically, if you saw the like 90-second clip that's been floating around the past week, it's basically that. I want to point out the like little telepathic aliens though, because I think it speaks a lot for like the direction of the show. But these guys, they didn't talk, but their words would appear above their heads. Words are symbols. So when they thought they were about to die, they would say, I, like just the symbol I, the human I, and then love, like as in a heart, then you, just the word. And so that's how they would communicate. And they were only there for
Man,
like 2 minutes.
I think this show's
Yeah.
going to fail. Toonami's airing a show where you got to read stuff.
Oh, God.
Subtitles, man.
Subtitles, guys. But I think it speaks a lot because these whole 3 episodes of Jack that I watched, it doesn't explain a lot for you. It just lets you come to that conclusion. Like they don't say, "Oh, these guys are telepathic." You just, "Oh, these are telepathic alien creatures." And like the same thing goes for like Jack's development as a character. The show is still very it doesn't have as much dialogue as other shows, and that's how Jack has always been, and still stays true to that. But I think it goes even further in that direction here. So after we get the cold open, we find out that we get that opening narration where Jack says, "Time has lost its effect on me. It's been 50 years. Shit's not going very well." And we see that Jack has insane PTSD. He's getting visions of his father and his mother saying, "You've abandoned us. You've lost your purpose." And he's getting these crazy, crazy dreams of waves of dead people just floating in rivers. And Jack's been through some rough shit. He has a scraggly beard,
That's how
long,
you
long
know somebody
hair.
has PTSD if they have a beard like that.
Yes. So, and he's lost his sword too. Uh, so Jack usually just uses this Triton thing that he carries around with him, and it's very effective. And he rides a motorcycle now.
As you do.
So, yeah,
You know, if you're not gonna have a sword
like,
anymore, have a motorcycle.
it looks like he lost his sword decades ago because we see like a small 5-second flashback of when he lost it, fell down a pit, and he was clean shaven without a sword for a while. Aku
Hey,
has
hey, maybe he just grows a beard real quickly. You don't know that.
maybe it could be. Aku has eradicated every portal back to the past, so Jack has just been wandering. Uh, Over the years, Aku's followers have birthed 7 assassins, like human assassins, and these are called the Daughters of Aku. And they were trained within Aku's lair. Basically, their entire existence was to kill Jack. And so they're old enough now to go out and search for him. And they're probably the toughest opponent Jack has ever fought. He gets his ass kicked at during every encounter and has several near-death experiences. Very intense fight sequences. Um, and there's a moment where Jack. This is probably where I'm gonna get a little spoilery, so be
Okay.
careful. There's a moment where Jack is basically talking to himself, and he's like, "Okay, they're just nuts and bolts. Everyone I kill is just a robot. And that's fine." And then later on in the episode, he ends up slashing the throats of one of the daughters of Aku, and he sees the blood come out, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And he kind of bangs the back of his head against the wall. And he's like, "Oh fuck!" He doesn't say "fuck," but like it was a big moment in the audience too, because we all realize, "Oh shit, Jack just killed his first person." And this is the scene where Jack gets stabbed onto the side, and he has to crawl through the cave, and his bloody handprints are on the wall.
I think
So
they have mentioned that Jack has to grapple with killing an actual person for the first time somewhere in like promotional interviews, but
yeah,
I imagine not everyone's keeping up with those.
yeah, Gindi has a few times, and how they handle that is actually really, really interesting because throughout all this, Jack is kind of talking to himself through. There's Jack and there's his inner Jack, and inner Jack is
Inner
what
Jack.
inner Jack, like inner
Is it anything
Sakura.
like the inner Sakura?
A little bit, because not really. Well, so inner Jack is what old Jack looks like, except he has like pointier teeth, and he's always shaded in blue, and he's just constantly telling Jack to like kill himself.
Hmm.
You know, basically, it's more subtle than that, because when he's about to say, maybe you should just,
Is he
he's
like
always
Bad
cut off.
Jack when he had like the red eyes?
No, this is just Jack's consciousness, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I mean
He
like
just
attitude wise though. Is that sort of what he's like? Or no?
not really. He's just there to kind of put Jack down and to be like the voice of non-reason.
Little dude on his shoulder telling him, go throw yourself off that bridge.
Basically, basically. Uh, but how Jack handles grappling with killing is really interesting, because we get a extended flashback of to when he was a kid, uh, and he was in a carriage with his father and his mother, and the carriage gets stopped, and all the guards outside are killed. So Jack's father steps outside, and Jack peeks through the cracks. His dad totally annihilate these 5 bandits, and the assumption I made from that was that that was Jack's first time seeing a human die. And later on, he has a conversation with his father about basically accepting the choices you make and understanding that who you are is why you're here. The show said it better than I could, and that's how Jack kind of comes to terms with it. And through all this, there's a parallel, like with a wolf, just a random wolf that's we get scenes of. But when Jack's getting attacked, the wolf's getting attacked, and when Jack is bloody and battered, the wolf is very bloody and battered. There's a lot of blood in this.
So
Uh,
is it does it ever feel excessive and clashing with the spirit of the original show, I guess?
it never feels like it's clashing with the spirit of the show. There's only one point where it feels excessive, though, and that's where Jack is basically floating down a stream of water, down a waterfall, and just a bunch of blood is following him.
Is it like his
There's
blood or
his blood, yeah.
okay.
There's gallons of blood. I'm not even joking.
So Jack has anime Zoro blood, is what you're telling me.
Yes, and like there's deeper shades of red of blood. Just it's interesting, and it looks really nice. It's nice looking blood. But every kill has this really impactful feeling afterwards. Every time a real person was killed, the audience would go like, "Ooh," because it's very punchy. You great sound design. You hear every bone crack. You hear every muscle tear. It's really, really nice sounding.
I guess I don't know. I guess this is just me speculating here, but I don't know. It seems a little. I guess the way I took it, watching the show, is like you never really saw Jack ever kill anybody who was human, but I guess you sort of in the back of my mind, I guess the way I rationalized it was that it was in a way a kind of censorship. So it always seemed to me the idea that Jack had actually killed like a flesh and blood thing didn't seem like outside the realm of possibility or anything, even if
Right.
it had happened off screen. So I guess that's interesting that they make that canon in a way.
Didn't he kill some aliens before? I'm sure he has.
They might have been robot aliens.
Probably, right. He does kill robots in this too. There's a robot voiced by Tom Kenny, and I'm assuming this is a guy from the first episode. As I said, it was all cut together like a movie. But he comes into this decimated village, and this robot, who is clearly fucking Tom Kenny, who just says "baby" at the end of all of his sentences, uh, is an assassin sent by Aku, and he basically has a Pied Piper gimmick. So he plays the flute, and these swords dance around in the air, and they swing at Jack. And when Jack breaks this flute, the dude just scats. He just scats. He just scats, and the swords do the same thing. It's really, really cool. And Aku is still around. Aku just doesn't show himself very much. Like, even his followers are like, "Yo, where's Aku?" But no, Aku is kind of just Aku is depressed. He's lamenting. He's just kind of sitting around in his lair. He wakes up every day. Sometimes he has to talk to scientists, and then he goes back to sleep. And he's like, "It's been 50 years since I eradicated all these time portals, but for some reason, the samurai is still alive. I thought he would just die, but he hasn't." And so he's having Aku too is having conversations with himself, except his inner self is a therapist, and Aku is sitting on the couch, and Aku is still silly. He's still really fun, and he's still using.
I guess that's the thing. Does the show maintain a sense of humor throughout?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Aku hasn't become this big demon lord who's just doom and gloom. He's still Aku. He's still pulling off these wacky, insane facial expressions. He's still screaming at the top of his lungs. He's still laughing maniacally. Well, laughing as much of a depressed Shadow Emperor can. Oh yeah, his followers still call him ridiculous things like the Shogun of Sorrow.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. That's a little ridiculous too, but yeah. So how is Mako's replacement here? What's his name? Greg Baldwin, right?
Yes, he sounds really good. If you've followed Mako's work, like like the rest of us have, you're probably gonna be able to tell that it's different, just because of the slight differences. But he sounds a lot like Mako, and he pulls off the laugh great. He pulls off the yelling great. He even he doesn't nail it to a complete T, but no one can. But he gets as close as you possibly can get, and I have to give him some credit for that.
Okay. Other question. This is probably only going to be specific to you because we're not going to be watching it that way, but did it feel like it all fit together pretty well in this sort of movie edited together format?
It fit together perfectly.
Okay.
If you didn't tell me, I would have thought that this was a movie.
Okay. That's
everything about yes, everything about this new incarnation of Jack is really, really thematic. Just Jack's character development feels more grounded and real. He's not just a vehicle to show cool shit now. He's an actual character. The show's far, far more intense than it used to be. There's this scene where Jack's hiding in a coffin, and the daughters of Aku are looking for him, and it's just a room full of coffins, and they're going around trying to figure out which one he's in, and the music just gets loud and overbearing, and you get these close-ups of Jack just sweating, and you get these shots of the daughters of Aku just looming over him. It's really, really, really intense.
You've talked a lot about other characters talking to themselves a lot or talking to visions of other people. Does that ever feel forced or almost like they're talking too much or anything?
No. A lot of the times it's just simple imagery, and a lot of the times it's just getting the basics across. Yes, it's delivering exposition for what's happened over the years, but it feels natural. It doesn't feel like Jack's saying "as you know" to himself.
That's good.
Yeah, the only time where it does maybe feel like that is when Aku is talking to his therapist or himself. So, but like that's fine. I think it worked out fine because it was still a funny scene.
I guess maybe this is sort of a, I don't know, like we've sort of had this answered already by all the promos they've been putting out, but how does it look?
Amazing.
Does it?
Like it looks like a movie. It looks like they threw a ton of money at this. It looks there are some parts that the part in particular that kind of stood out to me as maybe not looking as great as the rest of it was strangely enough an Aku scene where he was just it's that same shot you always saw on the show where he was kind of standing over that cliff and someone was talking to him from down on the cliff, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that looks exactly like it did in 2004.
Oh, so like in sort of a bad way, or
Just kind of in a, oh wow, I would have expected them to change this up a little kind of way.
okay?
But like it's the exact same shot and everything.
Did
Like
they
you know
ever?
how the fire around
Okay,
him never burned or anything. It was just kind of stationary fire.
yeah.
It's still like that.
Well, I mean, I imagine I never really figured it was fire. It just was meant to look like fire. But
Right.
are do they ever go? Are they ever like a little too cute with references to earlier stuff?
No, no.
No,
I don't think they even reference it at all. Like reference.
like
Yeah, this
outside
is
that one shot, I guess.
yeah. Like that shot was just that was a constant presence in the original Jack. Just Aku's looming over whoever was talking to him at the time. So
Okay.
I think that was just consistent with how they used to do things. Um, Aesthetically, though, the show takes a lot of risks. I think this season. Uh, you know, you know that episode where Jack was fighting in the light and he was fighting the ninja in the dark, or
Yeah.
was it the other way around? Yeah. But think of that, except it's far more common. Like every fight sequence is this beautiful aesthetic risk, like of Jack just fighting in a pure white snowscape and then blending into there, and people just fighting on like it looks like a blank canvas, but it's actually in the snow, or just fighting in the dark, and then the characters are white outlines. Uh, you have to see it to really grasp it, but they go they do some really experimental things with the animation. And I keep saying really a lot, but I feel like the show is just a lot more uh, it's a lot punchier than it used to be. It's a lot intense, and it's just kind of it's Jack, but it's Jack pushed all the way up to 11.
Hmm. All right. So it feels like a natural transition, I guess you would say.
Yes.
Okay. Well, any other thoughts you want to put out there before we close this up?
It's been 12 years. I don't think you guys are going to be disappointed.
So you have confidence in them sticking the landing after all this.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Well, how the hell do we close this?
We'll see
Bye.
you Saturday night when the first episode of Samurai Jack season 5 premieres.
That what he
That.
said.
What I
Yes.
said. Got to get back to the past. Samurai Jack. Wachow.
At least say watch out. I always
Wachow.
thought it was watch
Watch
out.
watch out. I thought it was Wachow. I mean, it could be watch out. Watch out.
Huh. We should look up the lyrics to that song. They probably have the lyrics to that. They probably have the like 10 words of lyrics to the Samurai Jack theme song somewhere.
Probably.
All right.